God is good, and with each day that passes brings us a day closer to the launch of Baldur's Gate 3. Today, guys, we're going to be taking another look at another class in Baldur's Gate 3, and this time we're going to be doing the Wizard. So we're going to go through all their abilities, everything they can do for the early access. Now, we're not going to talk too much about anything beyond that because, well, we're not there yet. I am getting the information from the Player's Handbook of D&D because that is where they said they are directly pulling it from and that things from the handbook will be in the game. So it's a pretty good look and gives you quite a bit of perspective on each class. Now, before we get started, if you are new here, please consider subscribing, especially if you're interested in RPGs, CRPGs, JRPGs, and of course we cover MMOs, especially the old school kind. And a big shout out to the members of Napalm for your support. Really appreciate you guys so much. And if you're interested in becoming a member of the Napalm, please click the join button down below for information and a list of perks. Now, the Wizard. Wizards are supreme magic users, defined and united as a class by the spells that they cast. Drawing on the subtle weave of magic that permeates the cosmos, wizards cast spells of explosive fire, arcing lightning, subtle deception, and brute force mind control. Their magic conjures monsters from other planes of existence, glimpses the future, or turns slain foes into zombies. Their mightiest spells change one substance into another, call meteors down from the sky, or open portals to another world. Now, when making a wizard, you probably want intelligence to be your highest ability score, possibly followed by constitution or dexterity. Now, if you're more interested in enchantment, maybe charisma your next best score. And good options for your cantrips are Mage Hand, Light, and Ray of Frost. And of course, for your first spells from your spellbook, if you have that option, Burning Hands, Charm Person, Featherfall, Mage Armor, Mage Missile, and Sleep. Now, you do get to pick 3 cantrips and 6 spells from the available list of the low-level wizard things. However, those are the ones recommended by the actual D&D player handbook, so I thought I should mention it. Now, at first level, the wizards, of course, get spell casting as well as arcane recovery. Now, arcane recovery means that you've learned to regain some of your magical energy by studying your spellbook. Once per day, when you finish a short rest, you can choose expended spell slots to recover. The spell slots can have a combined level that is equal to or less than half your wizard level, rounded up. And none of the slots can be 6th level or higher. For example, if you're a 4th level wizard, you can recover up to 2 levels worth of spell slots. You can recover either a 2nd level spell slot or 2 1st level spell slots. Now, at 2nd level, you'll get Arcane Tradition. This means that once you reach a 2nd level, you can choose an Arcane Tradition, which is shaping your practice of magic through one of the 8 schools: Abjuration, Conjuration, Divination, Enchantment, Evocation, Illusion, Necromancy, or Transmutation. Your choice grants you features at 2nd level and again at 6th, 10th, and 14th. But for the sake of the early access, you really only get this for the 2nd level. Now, I'm going to give a brief rundown of each school just to give you a brief idea so you maybe help you make that decision. So, Abjuration is magic that blocks, banishes, or protects, such in situations like exorcism, or when important locations must be guarded against magical spying, or when portals to other planes of existence must be closed. That type of thing. Next, we have the School of Conjuration, which is spells that produce objects and creatures out of thin air, billowing clouds, or summoning creatures. Also things like transportation, transporting yourself across vast distances, or even to other planes in an instant. Then we have the School of Divination, which more deals with the bells of space, time, and consciousness. This is more of a mastery of spells such as discernment, remote viewing, supernatural knowledge, and foresight. Then we have the School of Enchantment, which is the ability to magically entrance and beguile other people and monsters, bewitching the violent to lay down their arms, charming the cruel into showing mercy, those kind of things. And then we have the School of Evocation, which is creating powerful elemental effects like bitter cold, searing flame, rolling thunder, Crackling Lightning, Burning Acid. Probably the more common wizard is a master of evocation. And then we have the School of Illusion, which is magic that dazzles the senses, befuddles the mind, and tricks even the wisest of folk. It makes the impossible seem real. If you want a darker touch, then we have the School of Necromancy, which explores the cosmic forces of life, death, and the undead, manipulating energy that animates all living things, sapping life force from a creature, transforming vital energy into magical power that you can manipulate. And last but not least, we have the School of Transmutation, being able to modify energy and matter. You can alter both physical forms and mental qualities. Now let's get into the various cantrips that you can choose from with a brief description of each one. Now only Abjuration and Evocation will be in the early access, so we'll only be looking at those cantrips and spells as we get further on. Blade Ward, which gives you resistance against bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage dealt by weapon attacks. Booming Blade. On a hit, the target suffers the attack's effects and it becomes sheathed in booming energy until the start of your next turn. If the target moves before then, it takes thunder damage and the spell ends. Dancing Lights. This is basically creating some torch-sized lights within range that you can use as torches, lanterns, or glowing orbs, and you can also combine the 4 lights into one that can vaguely look like a humanoid form of medium size. This sheds a dim light in a 10-foot radius. Firebolt. This is a mote of fire hurled at a creature or object within range. Of course, it does fire damage, and it can also catch flammable objects on fire, except if it's something being worn or carried. Light. You touch an object that is within 10 feet of you, and the object sheds a bright light in a 20-foot radius, and a dim light for an additional 20 feet. Ray of Frost. This is a frigid beam of blue-white light that streaks towards a creature within range. Of course, it does cold damage, and it reduces the speed of the creature. Shocking Grasp. This is a lightning attack that delivers a shock to a creature that you touch and gives you an advantage if the creature is wearing armor made of metal. It takes lightning damage and it can't take reactions until the start of its next turn. And last, we have True Strike. This gives you a brief insight into your target's defenses, giving you an advantage against that target. Now it's worth mentioning that many more cantrips and of course spells, even though we haven't got to that yet, will make it into the game at launch at the official release of the game. However, for the early access, we only have Evocation and Abjuration spells available. So now let's move on to the spells, and I'm only going to cover the ones that are available in the early access. So first up, Absorb Elements. This captures some of the incoming energy, lessening its effect on you, and actually storing it for your next melee attack. You also have resistance to the triggering damage type until the start of your next turn. Also, the first time you're hit with a melee attack on your next turn, the target takes extra damage of that triggering type, and then the spell ends. Alarm. This sets an alarm on a door, a window, or an area within range, and anytime a small or a large creature touches or enters that area, you get an alarm letting you know and alerting you. Burning Hands. This shoots a thin sheet of flames towards your enemy in a 15-foot cone, causing that creature to take fire damage. The fire can also ignite any flammable objects in the area that aren't being worn or carried. Chromatic Orb. This is a 4-inch diameter sphere of energy that you hurl at a creature, and it can do acid, cold, fire, lightning, or poison damage, or even thunder for the type of orb that you create. Earth Tremor. This causes a tremor in the ground in a 10-foot radius. Every creature except for you takes bludgeoning damage and is knocked prone or knocked down. Magic Missile. You create 3 darts of magical force, and each dart can target a creature of your choice that you see within range. Mage Armor. You can touch a creature that isn't wearing armor and give it a protective magical force that lasts until the spell ends or until the target puts on armor. Shield. This is an invisible barrier of magical force that appears and protects you. You have a +5 bonus to AC, including against a triggering attack, and you take no damage from Magic Missile. Snare. You use a cord or rope to create a circle with a 5-foot radius and a flat surface within your reach. After you create it, it disappears, becoming a magical trap. When a small creature or larger moves into the area, they will fall prone and be hoisted into the air, hanging upside down 3 feet above the protected surface. Thunder Wave. This is a wave of thunderous force that sweeps out from you. Every creature in a 15-foot cube originating from you takes thunder damage and is pushed 10 feet away from you. Also, unsecured objects within that range are automatically pushed 10 feet away from you as well. Witch Bolt. This is a beam of crackling blue energy that lances out towards a creature, which also creates an arc of lightning between you and the target. The target takes lightning damage, and on each of your turns for the duration, you can use an action to create even more lightning damage to the target automatically. However, it ends if you decide to use an action to do anything else. And finally, the second level spells available for the wizard, Arcane Lock. You can basically lock a closed door, a window, a gate, or a chest magically. Continual Flame. This is a flame equivalent to a torch that springs out of an object that you touch. It creates no heat and doesn't use oxygen. It can be covered or hidden, but it cannot be smothered or quenched. Darkness. This is a magical darkness that spreads from a point that you choose in a 15-foot radius. It can even spread around corners. Even creatures with dark vision can't see through this darkness, and a non-magical light can't illuminate it. Gust of Wind. This is a strong wind 60 feet long and 10 feet wide that blasts in a line in a direction you choose. It will push creatures back 15 feet. It also disperses gas or vapor, and it extinguishes candles, torches, and other similar unprotected flames in the area. Scorching Ray. This is 3 rays of fire that you hurl at the enemies within range, and of course it causes fire damage. Shatter. This is a long ringing noise which is painfully intense. It causes thunder damage, and inorganic materials such as stone or crystal or metal have a disadvantage. Snowball Storm, which is a flurry of magic snowballs that causes cold damage. And finally, we have Warding Wind. This is a strong wind 20 miles per hour that blows around you in a 10-foot radius and moves with you. It deafens you and other creatures in its area. It also extinguishes unprotected flames. It also makes the area a difficult terrain for creatures other than yourself. And attack rolls of a ranged weapon are at a disadvantage if they pass in or out of the wind. It also hedges out vapor, gas, and fog as it's dispersed by the strong wind. Whew! Now, of course, guys, there may be others, and there may be less. That's just something we'll have to find out as the game actually releases into early access. And of course, I have to say it again, this was only the Evocation, Abjuration spell lines, because that's the only ones they've confirmed will be in the early access. Of course, there are 8 full schools, so there are actually 6 whole more schools of magic, so it's pretty mind-blowing, and I dread the day that I have to actually list every single spell for every single level of the wizard, because my voice box will probably fail me before I do that. I hope you enjoyed the video today as we covered the wizard, and of course, if you're not already subscribed, please consider doing so, and a big shout out to the members of Napalm for your support. I really appreciate you guys, and if you're interested in becoming a member, please click the join button down below for more information. And until next time, guys, and until we get to the next class, God bless and happy gaming. Please listen to what I say. I've been making videos all day. My friends all say I'm it's a video buffet. You can even hit replay. But please just subscribe. I can't even describe being part of my tribe. I'll even offer you a prize. But just please just subscribe and hit the bell notification too.